Japan, I feel like Tenshi Kaiwai has the potential to get really, really big because there's like the angel aspect, the gaming aspect, the sports aspect, the maid aspect. These kind of like pockets of subculture, they reflect certain aspects of society. In some ways, Japanese people are a little bit shy to express themselves, but not in others. So it's like a grown man can tell another grown man, you know.
Hey there, and thank you for tuning in. We're excited to bring you another great conversation today. If you like the show and want to support us, please hit the subscribe button so we can keep bringing you great content week after week. And if you're feeling extra generous, give this video a like and share your thoughts and comments down below. Thank you so much. And now, let's get into it. Welcome to Unpacking Japan. I'm Toby, and today we welcome Bunny. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me over out here.
You're known online as Capsule Bunny, a content creator from Yokohama, where you create content mostly around life around Tokyo and Tenshi Kaiwai fashion. So this is kind of the subculture we want to dive into today. But first, I want to find out a little bit more about yourself and what brought you to Japan in the first place.
Well, I was solving the big questions. Do you know kai syndrome?
Yes.
It's like rice and fish,
Mhm.
like sashimi. I wanted to eat that every single day of my life. So I was like, the only way I can achieve this is by moving to Japan. So that's why I moved to Japan. And I found out actually, if I were to eat that every day, I would be broke and probably get mercury poisoning. So it didn't work out. But I do eat quite frequently, and that's why I moved to Japan.
Where did that passion for kaisen come from?
I think it's like my dad was really into Japanese food. He was like a Buddhist. And so he introduced me to Japanese food when I was a kid. So I went kind of like a Japanese kind of like peasant in my life.
And then you discovered kaisen and you're like, okay, I need to go to Japan.
Yeah, and then obviously I was really into Japanese fashion. And in London, we have a really nice Japanese fashion community. And I helped out with like Izan, like fashion shows, stuff like that. And then I was like, well, okay, might as well give me sorry.
When was the first time you actually came?
Oh my god, maybe like 13 years ago, maybe more actually, maybe like 14 years ago. I think I was like 17, 18.
Do you still remember what it was like to arrive here and to kind of go eat your first kaisendon in Japan?
Honestly, I feel about the same, like not much change. I'm still like a massive tourist. Like it's my first time really exploring Osaka, so I immediately went to Rikoga. I was still like a tourist. Like I still feel that in my part, like even though I've been in Japan for 11 years, I still feel like that doki doki, like excitement in my heart.
What is it that kind of keeps that excitement alive for so long?
Probably undiagnosed ADHD, not gonna lie.
So you moved to Japan, you finally come here. What did you do at the beginning before you kind of moved into content creation?
When I first arrived here, I was just like a Tadano English teacher. Just like I started off doing English teaching, and then I started working for NHK like almost immediately. And they had a show called Kawaii International, and I started going on there, and like I was on the show, and then I started helping me with the producing. And then I can make like a lot of connections, and then I ended up making a Facebook group for a community. You'll see Kawaii Tokyo girls and boys. I think that's how I originally got like popular. I made this group for people who didn't fit in any like set demographic. Because I think the problem with Japanese fashion, particularly for Westerners, is like there's like Lolita, and then I don't know, nowadays it's like Judai, or like there's so many different kinds, and everyone's kind of like segregated. So I made a group for just anyone who enjoys Japanese fashion in general, and we kind of like hang out as a kind of like bridge to help people make friends. And then from that, I ended up making a lot of friends and a lot of connections, and then ended up getting more and more into Japanese fashion.
I have so many questions, but I'm curious about your experience with NHK. How was that to kind of work on producing a show for them about Japanese fashion?
That was pretty fun because that show was actually non-profit, and it was just I think it was like the government getting the money to do. They wanted to promote Japanese fashion in overseas. So it was really nice. It was kind of like a passion project. They didn't really make any money. And didn't have like a large budget. But it was kind of fun, and I could go to like different shops and do a whole bunch of research about Japanese fashion. So it was nice.
You said you were already into Japanese fashion back in London and in part of a community over there. How did you get into this fashion community?
I think it was like I went to some event that I saw about something like maybe like Japanese matsuri or like festival or something like slightly repetitive. I went there and then they had like a fashion show for Lolita and I was like, oh my god, it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. I think I was like 16 at that point and I was like, right, because there's no way I could put things out of it. I was just mesmerized and so I went home and I tried to search about it and I found the group and at the time it was quite small and I joined them and they were kind of like my senpai. They had all these wonderful outfits. And at that time, I was just like a broke high school teen, I guess. So like I slowly saved up my money and slowly started getting pieces of Lolita. And then yeah, I guess that's how I started.
You said Japanese fashion is very broad, but also from a Western perspective, quite segregated. How would you define Japanese fashion? Like, what goes into this, and perhaps maybe Japanese fashion in this kind of subculture genre? Is it like one giant category on its own?
It's
Is it?
too hard. It's too hard. You can't like because there's layers. And you have to think about like Japanese fashion is like we're talking like years and years and years. Because like actually I started off as Lolita, but then I got into Gyaru. And Gyaru is like for a long time ago. There's like the different eras and they all overlap and they're completely different because like say Gyaru is like the polar opposite of Lolita. And like these kind of like pockets of subculture, they reflect certain aspects of society and different kinds of people that join it. And they also reflect like music taste, they reflect nightlife. So it really depends. Like the modern ones that we have now and the reason that I really got into Tenshi Kaiwai is because this is kind of for people who like staying at home, they like comfortable clothes and they love gaming. So like every kind of Japanese fashion, it has its own kind of like connotations, its own personality traits. And that's not to say that if you have a certain personality, you can't join that fashion, but like it's so confusing. There's like pockets of subculture.
Is there like a starting point in history where this kind of all grew from?
I mean, yeah, like I would say when it started to really grow was probably like the late 60s, early 70s. But also like a lot of these fashions, like for example, Visual K is really inspired by like American glam rock. So all like Japanese fashion and like Western fashion, they're constantly borrowing and trading things from each other. So it's like a wonderful mix of pop culture.
You mentioned that there's a connection also between like personality traits and the fashion style. So which one kind of comes first? Is it you have a certain personality and you associate with a certain type of fashion, or do you use a certain fashion to express your personality? And if nothing much is like a new trend kind of coming out of.
I would say it really depends on the person. Like for me personally, I just love clothes. So I just want to wear all the clothes. But for some people, like I know a lot of like lifestyle lolitas, and they all they do is go to libraries. They wear very long demure dresses. They go out to tea, and they're just like they are lolitas. Like they live the lifestyle. That's incredible. Now it's kind of like their personality, and it's them. And for example, like nowadays, as I mentioned before, Tenshi Kaiwai people tend to stay home and play games, and they're kind of a little bit like more kikisumori. And then now there's July, and July is really interesting too because July, a lot of people who wear July, they kind of associate themselves as someone who, like struggles with their mental health and there's kind of those connotations. And that's not to say that everyone in the fashion feels like that, but it does drawing that kind of people. And it's kind of like a nice way for people, particularly in Japan, but mental health is kind of taboo. Like a place where people can congregate and like talk about similar issues.
I mean, Jira in particular, if you actually translate the words, it's like a lampman, right? So it's like.
Yeah, but that's like a reclamation because like landmine is a kind of like it's a bad word for a girl who's kind of like I know I don't want to say like spicy, but like someone who gets emotional easy and maybe it can be connected to like mental health. And the term was used as a reclamation. Like they took it back. Like, okay, well, we are Jedi and we want to do like.
So are these kind of styles and also a sort of each person's kind of comfort zone to associate a lifestyle and a way to express yourself that makes you feel comfortable based on personality and to navigate today's society, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the person, but I think a lot of it is like who you hang out with. Like a lot of Jedi people, their friends are Jedi and they start hanging out with those kind of people, but you do tend to gravitate towards the kind of people of a similar personality types. But I think like fashion is a great way to make meet like-minded friends, and particularly like Tenshi Kaiwai and Jedi, those and these kind of subculture fashion. And a lot of it's based around music too. So like a lot of people who get into idol groups kind of dress a similar way. So it's all like all this like pop culture stuff is all connected and it all is like a bridge between us. And I think the best part about this is it really helps us to connect with like-minded people and people with similar interests.
So what are the biggest kind of trends at the moment in these fashion groups?
I think at the moment it's really is like subculture. So like subculture July. I mean, sub at first it was just like classic July. If you think of like Asakano, what was it called in English? Whose girlfriend will I be tomorrow? Where it's like there's a character for Yua, who's July, and she got really, really popular, and I think that's how it started to get popular overseas. Um and then wait, I forgot what the original version.
What are the main?
Also then Kawaii. So like that was like the original Jedi. But then since then, sub in general subculture has kind of taken over, and subculture is a bit more like really big hoodies with like sweatpants and kind of like these kind of setups. And I think both Tenchi Kaiwai, Jedi, and like I noticed that kind of like emo style is getting quite popular too, and that falls under subcult. I think this is a good reflection in society because people are tired and people just want to be humpy. So now I notice a lot of the clothes and the subculture style is just people wanting to be really, really cozy because a lot of these people do go to like idolize or visual K lives and they want to be cozy, they want to be comfy, and a lot more people are spending time at home. And like this is also connected to the economy because obviously the economy is bad in almost every country and it's pretty bad in Japan. For that reason, people are spending a lot more time at home, and that's why clothes are getting, in my opinion, clothes are getting a little bit more comfier because people are spending a little more time at home.
So it's like always a reflection of the time. So things like Gather that were popular in the past.
Absolutely.
That was kind of the rebellious a little bit to rebellious stance on society at the time, but nowadays that's mostly gone.
Yeah, fashion is absolutely a reflection of society. And if you look at Gyaru and the big hair, like the fanciness, the opulence, and the kind of tackiness of it, that was like right after the bubble. So people had a lot more money to spend. I mean, Gyaru and Gyaru hair, you have to go to the salon to get that done. So it was like you'd have to drop money in like hair, the nails, the tan. And these days, people have a little bit less money. So I feel like there is a little bit less opulence and a little bit more function. And that's why like these two like setups are really popular.
You mentioned that from a Western perspective, or rather, like maybe Westerners who are into these subcultures, they want to categorize too much. This is that, and the other one is a different category, and then it is changed. Can you explain a little bit more what you mean by that?
So I really love the Western comms. I think a problem maybe that Western communities do have is that they tend to put a little bit too many rules in place. And I remember back in the day when I was in the Lolita and the Yeru Kong, there was a lot of like infighting and a lot of people trying to like police each other. And it was sometimes a little bit uncomfortable. And particularly now that there's new fashions are emerging and people will try and like immediately make a bunch of rules. I think I'm I'm like half and half that like in order for you to consider yourself as like Jedi or Geru or blah blah blah, there has to be some elements of that there. But on the other side, I think that we should just try to support each other and we shouldn't try to police each other too much because particularly because like a lot of it is quite classes. Because when I was in the LolitaCon originally, I remember a lot of people would post their outfits online and then people would be coming mean to them. But then it wasn't that their outfits were bad, it's that they didn't have enough money to wear like a complete brand outfit. It's like $300 or something for baby. So I think that it's when you're in these communities, it's really, really good because you can learn so much from other people, but it's a little bit scary sometimes to put your picture out there thinking when people can critique you. So I think when we are online and we are in these communities, we need to think that, people we're talking to are human beings with feelings and maybe they don't have the money to drop on a complete like July outfit or whatever, or maybe they're not good at doing makeup yet, and maybe they need just a little bit of support. Stuff like that.
How is it like in the Japanese communities? Do you have any contact with them? Do they interact differently or engage with each other differently than Western communities?
It really depends because I feel like the Japanese communities are a lot like smaller and it's just mostly just like their friends. And have I've hung out in like the Japanese Lolita community and I've hung out in like Gyaru circles and stuff like that. And mostly it's really, really nice. But again, it's like any subculture of anything. There's always gonna be like infighting or like competition and stuff like that. But overall, like I've had overwhelmingly positive experiences in both the Western and the Japanese cons. The Japanese cons I feel like are just a little bit small, not really different.
So if you retrace your journey, you started at Lolita and then you went to Ikeda and now Tenshi Kaiwai. What?
Oh, there's so much in between. I just really like that.
So what spurred the big changes? What made you decide to, oh, I don't identify with this one anymore. I feel more like the other one.
For me, and I know a lot of people like this, but I have ADHD. So like I like I change my mind about a lot of things. And I just really enjoy fashion and I like wearing different things. And like I feel that my personality one day might not be the same the next day. Like one day I love going Lolita fashion and I love going to like Christie's, the popular Lolita cafe in Harajuku, and just like being really quiet and being with my other Lolitas and just like relaxing and having tea. And other days I'll wear like Tenshi Kaiwai Judai and I'll go to Shinjuku to sit like flying down. So like really depends on the day.
So Tenshi Kaiwai is what you're doing now and how do you dress today?
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit what this means to you, what it represents?
So, okay, so Tenshi is obviously like angel. And I've always been into like angel themes, like angels for like from a long time ago. Even like my very first Lolita time were like angel printers. So I've always liked angel theme stuff. And Tenshi Kaiwai is like an amalgamation of like angelic themes, cyber, gaming, sportswear. It's just a lot of things that I really, really like. And particularly as someone who's a gamer, it's nice to have a fashion that's like, this is comfortable and you can wear it at home while you're gaming. And like I'm also a streamer, so it just matches perfectly. I think more than anything, it's very functional. And the colors are white and blue, which I really like. And it really looks like the samurai character Cinnamon Roll. And like I really love Cinnamon Roll for the longest time, but he didn't really like no clothes ever kind of like suited him. And now finally he has some representation. So yeah.
I think it's a trend that started in the 2020s, kind of with the beginning of COVID, where people were also more at home and a lot.
Exactly. It's a complete representation that society. People were at home the whole time and they still wanted to be cute, but they wanted to be comfortable as well.
So we were talking about some rules that some people impose. Are there rules with Tenshi Kaiwai that you need to follow to kind of be considered one? Or?
Honestly, Tenchikari is very lucky in the sense that it's really unpopular. Compared to July, not many people wear Tenchikai. Um, it's like if it's light blue, even then, there's Tenchikai outfits that are pink. Like it's just like it's more kind of like more. It's more like an aesthetic. It's very hard to explain. It's kind of a little bit sporty, a little bit pastel, a little bit angelic. And there are like some connotations, like there'll be like hospital themes or game themes. There's a lot of common themes that reoccur. And you can look at outfit and you can probably tell it's Keisha Kaiwai. Also, they frequently wear aprons. I'm not wearing one today, but normally I wear an apron.
Do different pieces have like certain meanings in terms of self-expression? Like if you wear this, you're signaling something to other Tenchi Kawaii members, or is it just kind of accessory based for decoration?
Um, if you see someone wearing Tenshi Kaiwai, you can probably tell that they're a gamer, which is kind of cool. Or they're into like maze and like Akiba. That's another thing. Like fashions have their own kind of like districts. Like as you know, like yeah, it was kind of like Shibuya, Jirai, Shinjuku. I feel like Tenshi Kaiwai is very like Akiba, like Akihabara, like the retro gaming and like maid cafes and stuff like that. So there's a lot of elements of Akiba in Tenshi Kaiwai. It was like the maid silhouette and stuff like that. So it's also based on like which districts in Tokyo that you like.
A lot of these are like community based, and you mentioned that people meet up to kind of, as Lolita, they go to a tea salon and they have tea and they enjoy. But Tenchi Kawaii is more like about being cozy, being at home. How do Tenchi Kawaii interact with each other? Is it also more online based in terms of community?
Yeah, I guess nowadays, because before it wasn't all on Facebook, but nowadays it's just through Instagram, really. And again, people who wear from Shikaiwa, a lot of them are into like idols and maid cafes and pong cafes, so that's kind of where they kind of like meet. And I meet just like a lot of Japanese henshi girls in Akiba or Shibuya just shopping.
Is it like the kind of community where when you don't know someone but you see they're dressed in the same way, it will make you interact with them naturally because you kind of instantly relate to something in common? Or is it you mind your own business?
I feel like people who wear subculture fashion are really socially open. Like I know, like it. Same for me. So like we'll look at each other and be like, "Yeah, you're cute." But then normally we isn't really interactive. Then you'd find them later on Instagram.
Oh, so you actually start Googling because the community,
Geotag. Find
okay,
out like they were here at the time.
and then you start connecting and talking online. And you might say
Yeah.
maybe you meet at a idol show or something like that.
Yeah, I saw a Japanese girl in Shibuya one and I wearing one of my design and I wanted to go speak to her so bad, but I thought that would be cute, so I did.
Oh, but did you find her online?
I didn't. I forgot.
The chance, the opportunity is still there.
Yeah, maybe I'll find it one day.
Idol groups and that kind of culture is also strongly connected. What kind of music genre or idol groups are connected to Tenshi?
There's quite a few like Shika idols, like underground idol members that wear Tenshi Kaiwai now. A lot actually.
So they wear that during performances?
Yeah.
Okay.
And their outfit would be like Kinshikaya, but a lot more fancier. Like it has like more frills, more sparkles, and they are like a lot like magical girl things.
I want to get into the clothes themselves and fashion side of things because you also recently started your own kind of line of fashion, your own brand.
I worked for a Japanese company and I design clothes through them. Um, so yeah.
So you design your own pieces, kind of produced by that company, and then kind of sold, and you will be kind of credited as a designer.
Yeah. So it's an interesting process. So I'll make the designs and then I'll send them over and they'll decide which ones they want to use. And then we meet at the office and then we'll talk about it. We have like the fabric, like swatches with so many different fabrics and ribbons and stuff like that. And like these kind of like zippers and buckles and things like that. So we have to look through all of those, write down which ones we think potentially could be good for the products. And then we have to look at the pattern and measure everything. It's quite a long process actually. It actually takes a really long time. And then after that's all done, we send it off and then it'll come back with the sample and then we'll measure everything. And then there'll always be like something that needs a little extra work. It can take up to 3 samples to make sure everything's perfect. And then after that, we can start selling it online. This whole process takes like a few months.
Yeah, almost you say half a year-ish.
I would say like 3 months for one piece. And yeah, it depending on like how well the sample goes. If the sample comes back and it's fine, then maybe like 2 months.
Okay. How do you get into that? What made you want to start designing event clothes?
I've always done like design stuff. I used to sell like my artwork in design fest, and I've always kind of stuff like that. And then this company reached out to me because they were looking for someone with a design background that also knew about like SNS and they could speak Japanese. And like this job is like an amalgamation of things because not only do I design, but I also help on their SNS, and I had to like educate them about selling overseas. Because, like, for example, Japanese companies, I said, like, oh, are we going to have more than one size? And they're like, what? Because, like, a lot of Japanese clothing companies only have three sizes, only have one size. So they needed someone to, like, educate them about selling clothes overseas. And another thing is, like, we also produce clothes for Don Quixote.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have to, like, I'm like a go-between. They also wanted to hire some international artists. So I had to find international artists, information mails, and blah blah blah, and make the contact. So yeah, it's a lot of like extra stuff that takes a really really long time. It sounds really really fun, but most of it is just like administrative.
No emails back and forth and getting the right people together.
Yeah, for real. And like invoices. Oh my god, I hate invoices.
Is this something you do full time now?
No, I have like a whole bunch of different jobs. I teach English.
So you're still doing English teaching, which you started by the way.
I actually do like teaching English. I only teach English like 3 days a week. And then I do my design job around the SNS. I have a YouTube, I stream, and I do like influencing PR stuff. And I also do sometimes I translate games.
That's a lot of things. How do you balance all
ADHD.
ADHD? Just bounce from one to the next thing.
Yeah, I get really bored. Like I used to work just a 9 to 5, 5 days a week job, and it made me really depressed. I need to have like every single day of the week, there's always something new for me, and that's just how I prefer. But I know like living like that would like drive some people crazy.
Yeah, it's a big pace or fast pace to kind of keep running along to.
And I think I work like literally every day, like a little bit at least.
Just a little something, a few administrative tasks here and there.
Every time I open my phone, someone wants something from me.
How about your content creation? Is this something you've always done? Is it something you started to do more actively recently? How did that come to be?
I've done it ever since I moved to Japan, but then a few years ago, I decided to make a YouTube because my mom wanted to see what I was doing in Japan. So I made a YouTube just to show her what I was doing. And then my mom passed away, so I kept posting on my YouTube for a while. And I don't know why I picked it up again one day. And then people started to be like, oh, these videos are kind of funny. And then I ended up listening to more and more and more. And now I make a little bit of money from YouTube.
Yeah, it takes time to build up the community and to build up the audience.
Yeah, I love my YouTube community there. Everyone's really nice. You have like a Discord. I have mods that run the Discord, like the Navy. Um, I do like streaming. It's a really, really nice community. 'Cause I was told not to make a YouTube because someone said to me, like in Japan, there's too many Japanese, too many foreigners making content in Japan. Like it's oversaturated, and people be really into you. Actually, the YouTube community is so kind and sweet. Even though it is oversaturated, I feel like, like it's fun to watch everyone's own individual journey.
So you make content, you work for that brand, you work at the school. Do you have that something that you personally want to focus on, or is this kind of balance of doing everything perfect for you? I think.
So I guess I want to design more. I'm collaborating with a few other companies, and maybe in 2025, I'm thinking to like start producing my own Winnie or making fashion. So we'll see. I know it's a lot to say. I'm also writing a book. And
Wow.
and I don't know. There's a lot of things I would like to do.
About those brands, how do they work? Because does one brand make clothes, let's say for Jirai, and then there's a new, let's call it trend coming off for a new category of clothes, and that brand will switch to make the new one, or will just a new brand pop up to cater to this niche?
That's a really good question, Anthony. So not many people know that like most of these Japanese brands fall under like conglomerate. So there's an umbrella company, And like my company too is just a small one under a bigger umbrella company. And so a lot of these brands are very short lived because they'll just like they'll get like a director and then they'll produce clothes. And like for example, a few years ago it was Alarm, which I still love. And they make a lot of Lauren brands. And then when that kind of fell out of favor, a lot of them just closed down. But then they'll reopen new brands with different aesthetics. So it's constantly like brands closing, brands opening up, and it's like ever changing. Like if you go to Shibuya 109 frequently, which I do, every week there's a new store opening, a new store's closing. It's just like an ever evolving thing. But like it's the same people like producing, closing up, and a lot of times the same companies too.
Interesting. So it's the major apparel company rents that space and they just swap out the name of the brand that's being displayed.
Often, yeah, actually.
How is that sustainable for the people that are part of these cultures? You mentioned some of the pieces can be quite expensive, like up to $300 for one set, but I imagine that you may want to have multiple sets for multiple days of the week, and a lot of the people identify with these are maybe on the younger side, and maybe students or just started working.
Yeah, it really depends because like the more expensive clothes are Lolita, but those brands have been around for like a long time. The most expensive brands like Baby or like Milk, they've been around for a long time. Like, so they have brands loyalty. They'll kind of like never die. But like the newer brands start off quite cheap because they don't have any credibility. Like the brand that I work for, we actually sell our clothes quite cheap considering that the quality is quite good. But I imagine after like 10 years, if we were to like survive that long, then things would get more expensive.
It must be difficult also for you now working in there because trends seem to shift quite fast depending on whatever social events are happening, which means you always need to be producing the new clothes that will match the requirements of the market that's shifting, but like on very fast cycle.
Oh my god, yeah, that's a really big problem because trends do change a lot. And like even like Jedi and Tenshi are changing when people are getting bored of saying the same thing. And also like as I mentioned before, we work at Don Quixote and like Don Quixote like they told us we don't want any more clothes with long sleeves. We only want like cancel it like half. See, so I'm like, oh, now I have to change our design. So they're like, sure, so like, so it really depends on the diet, depends on the season, depends on what's popular at the time. There's a lot of things. So you have to like, and because it takes so long to produce the item, you have to kind of like look into the future.
All right. Now. So, what's your process to make a design? Like, if today I were to be for working for Don Quixote and would ask, oh, we need a new design for next year's spring, what's your process to kind of make a small collection or a set come together?
I need to make sure that whatever I'm about to draw doesn't exist. That's one thing. But honestly, I just try to make designs that I personally like and that I would want to wear. I try to make things that are comfortable and inclusive. Like all of my design have so much stretch. That's another big thing for me. Is like, cause again, mentioned before, Japanese clothes, a lot of it don't even have like sharing or anything like that. So like, as long as it's comfortable and it's inclusive, then I think that generally I just design whatever I kind of want. And I on the brand's Instagram, I do post design, and then the ones that get the most traction, I'm like, okay, maybe people want to see this, and then we can use that one.
Also, you test the designs by sharing the drawings right? To
Yeah.
see if the audience reacts to this, and then if it's a positive reaction, it goes into production.
Yeah, exactly. And I show my friends, I'm like, what do you think of this? And they're like, this sucks.
You said that you need to check that whatever you want to produce doesn't exist already. With so many things out there.
Oh, it is so hard. Yeah, for real. That's one thing you gotta be really careful because you don't want to plagiarize anyone. You have to do a lot of research, actually.
So for you as a member of that community, member of the business community about producing to cater to the fans, what would you like to see in future if you had the power to decide on what happens next with Tenshi Kaiwai or with the clothes or with the direction it's
I think Tenshi Kaiwai has the potential to get really, really big because it's like the angel aspect, the cyber aspect, the gaming aspect, the sports aspect, the maid aspect. There's so many avenues they could take. And I feel like a lot of the Tenshi photos look very similar right now. I feel like they're not reaching their full picture. Like I want to see like a lot more like for example more like Lolita S, like more girly, like hyper femme Tenshi, and then also more masculine Tenshi because a lot of complaints we've had is like a lot of guys want to wear more Tenshi Kaiwai, so they think it's a little bit too feminine. So I think you can go either way. Do you like hyper femme, hyper masculine? Yeah, I think there's a lot more that you can do with it. There's a lot more designs that I want to produce, but also it's a little tired and I have to get the green light from my company. That's why probably next year I want to produce some things by myself.
If the community grows like this and you start making new designs and you have so many avenues, at what point is it not Tenshi anymore and it will break up into like two separate brands?
Oh, that's so interesting because I really feel that's what happened maybe like 5 years ago. We all were kind of like alarm, which was like everyone has like dark brown hair and lots of blush and like sexy lacy black and pink clothes. And then from then, that kind of like went off into what I personally believe that that's how July kind of spawned. Because it was very like the same colors as July, but very, very like demure. And I think girls who wanted something, maybe girls who are a little bit younger, a little bit more rebellious, really like that style, but they wanted something else. So that's kind of like how Subcore and July spawned from that. So all of these things are kind of like branching off from each other. Like even like again, I like, don't want to mention Delight too much, but and also Tenchi, but like the eye makeup is very reminiscent of Gary. So like these things do keep coming back and overlapping and like foreign and exchanging from each other. And I think it's really, really fun actually. As someone who just enjoys Japanese fashion, I'm living.
You mentioned that men are sometimes saying it's too feminine. I didn't know that men were also into these because I feel like when you look online, all the photos, all the dresses are always for women. Is there
You're
male?
looking in the wrong places, my guy. You're just looking at women. Let's see this with the women online. That's your algorithm.
So what kind of communities are there? Is it exactly the same kind of?
Pretty much, they actually like chica idols. There's a lot of chica idol men's group, and they all wear subcoat. There's a lot of tetchy boys, a lot of Jedi boys, and like visual K also. A lot like modern day visual K boys. They all wear kind of like subculture. So again, if you look in the pockets of subculture, you'll find every gender wear.
It's interesting because yeah, even walking around the streets, I feel like it's not advertised much. It's not really pushed like the brands for women are that you kind of see in districts like Harajuku or maybe Anonura in Osaka or Achebono in the elsewhere. So it's both. Or Persian is.
Yeah, I can be again like clothes are genderless anyways, like particularly in Japan, like normally. Like
Why are these trends and these styles so specific to Japan and not really coming out of the UK or Europe or the US? I feel like it's something so unique to here. Even neighboring countries like Korea and Taiwan do not have these kind of exact trends. Or they would borrow them from Japan, it seems.
I'm also not sure exactly, but like I think particularly like Japan really is into like kawaii, right? And I think like being cute in a way that's like not sexualized, and that's great. And the thing is like growing up in England, as a woman, you have to be you can't be too feminine or too masculine. You have to be quite feminine, but not too feminine, but not too masculine. So you have to hold a fine line. Or like people start complaining. But in Japan, I feel like people are able to express themselves in a very feminine way, a very masculine way, and it's not no one really cares that much. If as long as you're Hawaii.
You mentioned the importance of being cute and the amount of coming from the Japanese kawaii.
Yeah.
How is this understood here in Japan and people tell someone, oh, you're cute or kawaii? Because I feel like when you say this in English and in a maybe Anglo-Saxon context, the meaning is somewhat different. It's perhaps more used for children or babies or puppies, not necessarily something you tell an adult person.
That's the one thing I really like about Japan. Is like a grown man can tell another grown man is cute, you know? Like no homo. It's just like you can. In some ways, Japanese people are a little bit shy to express themselves, but not in others. So it's like there's nothing shameful about being cute, and it doesn't matter how old you are, no matter your gender, anyone can be cute, and it's just like it's nice. Like even like for example, like mascots like cinema roll, pom pom pudding. Grown ass adult men have pom pom pudding like charms on their phones, and they're like, it's cute, I like it, and that's great. I think that we should, and this is my favorite thing about Japan, is that Japanese people have really strong hobbies. Like they'll be like, I'm really into this idol group, well, I'm really into like Uma Musume, or I'm really into like this really like Gundam or train, and I am not ashamed that I really like the thing, and I'm gonna wear the charm on my back so you know that I really like trains. And I think that's wonderful. I think that we should all try to be very open about the things that we like. And yeah, and so I got my little guys with me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, pom pom pudding. Oh, cinnamon roll. I don't know.
Wow, I was about to end the interview then.
Yeah, it's if you're not familiar with the characters, there are many of
So you'll
those. Well, they do make very silly. Do the characters because Cinema Roll, I think, is from the big franchise that existed before Tenchi Kaiwai came along. Was it like the different cultures or cultural groups kind of find characters that they associate this and like would take this on as a
yeah, that's well for real. That really does happen. I think it's like as well like Jedi, they got Kuromi. So Tenshi Kaiwai is like they were taking
I see.
no one's Pomapun.
What about all the charms? Do they have a certain meaning? You mentioned it's a way to display what you're really into to others. And you sometimes walk around and you see people with so many things hanging from the backpack and a big plush. You see cards with photos of idols inside.
The first thing is a good memory. So if you got a charm on your bag, someone gave you that, or it's a nice memory from a day out where you went out to your friends, your boyfriend. So first, it's a memory. Second of all, you can identify people. Like I took the Shinkansen today, and I sat next to this girl, and she had a charm from Samuel Kuronand, and I know exactly the same one. And we were looking at each other like, "Oh, I see."
But then you don't talk to each other.
No, we just like, yeah.
Interesting. So a way to express and communicate silently with others and to recognize what they're for, but also kind of for you, for yourself, a souvenir from something.
Connecting you with people, it's most important. It's like a way of connecting with people on some level.
What about decorations? You do a lot of in your videos, kind of decoing, where you kind of have a lot of stickers and you put these on. Is this a typical activity that's part of the culture, or is it just something to
So
as masculine to be?
okay, so Japan has always loved decorating shit. First of all, okay, even from back in Gyaru, remember I used to be Gyaru, and we used to decor our little flip phones with like the crystals. Like, hey, people love decorating stuff. We love putting our own mark. So like deco has always been around, but recently deco blew up because of Oshikatsu, which is like fan culture. And there's so many different kinds of Oshikatsu. Like, I think if you live in Japan, you're probably the one you're most familiar is seeing girls with like ita bags, and they have like the same character like 100 times. You definitely say that, right? Now recently, obviously, K-pop super popular, and now people are decorating their favorite Oshi's picture or like the visuals, the fans that the bases on and stuff like that. And I started doing that recently. Like, and my best friend, she's really into K-pop, and I like K-pop, but I don't have like an Oshi, so I would decor like during Saturdays. I think it's a good activity to do with your friends, and when I'm out with her, she'll see someone with like a similar brief picture of the same guy, or like seeing someone with another Jekka thing, and they'll strike up a conversation. It's like, oh, you also like blah blah blah, me too. These are just all ways that it just make it easier to find like-minded people to hang out with.
You mentioned different types of oshikatsu. Is it different types in terms of how you express it, like with charms on your backs, or is it like different activities you do as a fan of someone?
It's all of those things. It sort of depends on your fandom, because it's like J-pop, which and K-pop, and those things are quite different. And like the way that you'd express yourselves a little bit different. And then there's like the anime girls.
Okay. So it's quite complex. It's like a whole other direction that is kind of unrelated, but kind of.
I feel like these people don't cross over that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So there's a little bit of Oshikatsu as part of Tenshi or other like fashion cultures, but it's like a sideline activity.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like if you're into this kind of thing, you probably wouldn't mind decorating the card or somehow. Like, I feel like a lot of things are connected.
So for you and where you are currently on your journey in Japanese fashion and here live in Japan, what are the things you'd like to work on next, except for there's a new brand you're considering opening? Is there a type of content you want to explore more and do more of for your community?
I want to stream a lot more. I want to make full YouTube videos. I want to do more travel stuff. There's a lot of things I wanted to do. I would like to get Tenshi Kaiwai more copied because it's not really popular.
You mentioned earlier that some people discouraged you of doing YouTube because there's too many content creators and it's saturated. It is kind of saturated, but I don't think there's that many that do content about Japan as a Tenchi and person. Are they?
Yeah, like I think my content's a little bit unique. I do like Japanese fashion, and I also talk about like left-wing politics. So there's there's a little bit of like a crossover in there. So like I definitely have like an audience that's quite niche, but I really like my audience, and I like making content for my audience, and everyone that watches my videos really nice. I don't mind it, even if like my channel doesn't get super big. I like the level I'm at now. Like I don't mind if I for that much. I just where I'm at now is really good.
So the priority would be more like developing more designs for the thing and popularizing Tenchi more.
Yeah, I do want to play around a little bit more with Tenshi Gmail business.
What do you think is required for Tenchi to become more popular, perhaps over Konjinai?
Okay, so what I think is because remember how I mentioned Asakano, like whose girlfriend will I be tomorrow? There's that famous character Yua. I'm waiting for there to be a manga or anime with like a popular Tenchi character, and it will happen because there's a lot of Tenchi anime characters, idol and manga characters, but there's not one that's like really blown up. But I'm waiting one who will blow up, and when that happens, there'll be a lot of Tenchi people, and so that makes me very happy.
And then you'd have to make a lot of new designs and put everything into fast production to satisfy.
Oh, that would be nice. But like again, it's a subculture, so like it's not mainstream. So like even if only 5 people enjoy it, it doesn't really matter. Like it is just subculture, so it's not necessarily meant to get wildly popular. It's just for those people that enjoy it.
Did you think you'd be doing this today after coming to Japan to eat kaisema?
Kind of yeah, actually. I felt like not like this specifically, but I'm always doing some out of pocket thing. Like, I'm always up to something.
So kind of going along with wherever things take you with fashion at the center of everything.
Yeah, I didn't think I would be talking on camera so much because that's also part of the reason I made my YouTube is that I wasn't very confident about speaking and on camera. So that's why I made my YouTube so I could get better at speaking. And I think I got a little bit better.
You'd be drawn to me for your name.
Man, stop talking. That's the ADHD in my head.
I wanted to ask you if you think that these subcultures will expand more outside of Japan, maybe more to Europe, or do you think the market is not suited for this? The way people live, the societies do not express themselves in the same way, and maybe are not accepting in the same way as here in Japan.
I think that's right. I think that like Japanese stuff in general is wildly popular overseas. And like I work with a lot of friends. I work with quite a popular, maybe the most popular harajuki brand. It's called ACDC Rag, and one of my best friends is the CEO, and they sell overseas in like a bunch of countries, and they're always going to cons, and they're always selling out, and like there is a demand for it.
So it's growing, but maybe less seen than here in Japan.
Yeah, I think so. But like there is definitely a demand there, particularly in like France and Germany. I feel like, and like India as well. Suppose really, and like Brazil. There is definitely a demand for it.
So if now you have the opportunity to dispel any misconceptions about subcultures in Japan, maybe what Tenshi or Jinai, what could they be? What kind of common misconceptions do you feel people have about these?
I wouldn't say necessarily misconceptions, but a lot of people are very scared to start because the community can seem a little bit overwhelming. I would say don't be discouraged and just try. Like, just do it. Like, just start. Like, it's gonna be hard at first. Like, I've never been really good at makeup, and like a lot of these things are makeup based. Like, Jerry was very makeup based, so it took a really long time for me to be able to like get the makeup down. But it's just practice, and like don't let people discourage you. And if you post something and people are like, "That sucks," start again. Just keep going. Like I've failed so many times. Some of the outfits I look back on, I'm like, Jesus Christ. So it's like it's a journey, and you have your ups and your downs. But I don't let yourself be discouraged, and just wear the things that you like to wear. And you don't think too much about like personality type or if I should do this or if I should do that. If you think that it's cute, and then also like don't wear things that you think that will suit you. Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know, it's like this will suit me or kind of it doesn't worry about like it doesn't matter. Like, do you like it? If you like it, the most suited you will be is wearing an outfit that you personally think is cute.
Where do you start once you want to get started? Where do you find the clothes? Where do you kind of look for these the right item, the first set?
Honestly, Instagram is great. You just you have a look around. You start small. You go like just hashtag J fashion. Like okay, for I don't know what I want to wear J fashion. So type J fashion. Okay, have a look. Oh, I kind of like this. Okay, this is like Tenshi Kaiwai. Okay, so I copy these hashtags, copy paste them in here. Okay, then I see this. Okay, I like this girl's aesthetic, and she's wearing this. Okay, so I'm gonna go this brown cage. This should this these. Yes, I see. Okay, good.
Is it usually one outfit from one brand, head to toe, or is it like the combination?
Always a mix, I think. It's always a mix. So like recently, like the brand I work for, we tend to make like setups. Like this one is like a hoodie and skirt, and then you get like the leg ornaments from somewhere else on like the apron, different shoes, different accessories.
So go to Instagram, find inspiration, don't be scared. We'll post you two with the two big points for anyone who's kind of interested, shy, scared about this to get started and get interested.
And if you want a band that ships overseas, definitely check out Lulu International, which is the band I work for.
We'll put your links in the description so people can reach out and ask questions, because my questions may have been sometimes just general and some people may have more specific questions about
You're
you.
just a guy.
Yeah,
You're just a lad.
yeah, I know nothing about these, but thank you so much for coming and enlightening me a little bit more and dispelling my confusion between pumpkin pudding and cinnamon roll.
You still at night. I guarantee you, if I put them side by side, you could not tell me what it is.
All right, we'll have to have you back and you can talk me to the chair. Thank you, Bunny.
Yeah, it's very great. It's very fun.
Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. This was Unpacking Japan, and we'll be back again next week.
Well, I'll pack next week.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future conversations. And we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this episode, here are a couple more that we think you'll enjoy. Thanks again for your support, and we'll see you next time.